go on the assumption that internet generally works.
Well, most places it does.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we'll, I have these agendas, well, not really, it's meeting minutes, but,
I printed them, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just gonna skip meeting minutes so we can, and talk about the added agenda item, which is, the revolving, since we have, people here who are here to talk about that. That way we can get that out of the way while they're here and, not waste too much time of theirs. So we received a request from, I believe everyone received a request from Austin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone want to start a discussion on this? Any motions or?
Donna,
I'm
can we
listening.
see your paperwork? Can
Most
you tell us
definitely.
where we're at?
Do we have copies of this stuff, or?
Apparently not.
Austin's not here,
And neither is Tanika.
and it is.
You can
So
just,
what copies-
where are we at?
So that I can help you with too, but if you're looking for copies of Karina's letter, I can
Well,
make
the whole
that.
package. No, I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm not, not you, I'm just saying, I've asked meeting after meeting, you know, other committees get the package of information printed.
Go, Brian.
I'd like to get it printed so I can look at it. I look at it on my phone, but I do well with that, so.
Share what I got.
No, that's fine, I'm just saying, we have a person that's supposed to put the stuff together for the committee, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're not here.
No,
Yeah, but they're next door, they could have dropped it off.
yeah, I mean,
Good point.
somebody could have got it here,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Point well
Could
taken,
have called me,
Tom.
I'll go up and get it.
So this wouldn't have been in the packet, I did not prepare it before today, so I'll pick what phone
No,
for
it's
that.
fine.
No, that's not the purpose, it's just,
Yeah, it's sitting here.
Darren, I think just
Darren,
put
oh,
the stuff
Darren.
there.
you could, yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Okay, go ahead.
So we're looking at currently, the balance is 211,066?
Correct.
Perfect. That includes, Karina, does that include any, summer fund payments?
Yes,
And
so
it includes pool passes?
only a few, because we just put those on sale.
Okay, but, because I just know, I remember that
Yeah.
that was always a thing, this time of year you get a big influx, but
Yeah.
that all gets spent in the next
Yes.
fiscal year.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that that was still the case.
Yeah, so on the sheet that I passed out that says overview by program, you can see
Yeah.
where Camp of 2024 landed, and then Camp of 2025 is kind of getting going, so there's, that's the payments we've taken, and so far we have about $58,000 due May 1st, plus any other that comes in, late registrations, but.
So, I guess I'm gonna be the only one that's gonna mouth off, so I guess it'll be me.
So what else
Um,
is usual?
Yeah, so,
Wouldn't expect me less.
credit card fees not accounted for in a revenue-based program. So when somebody pays for summer fun using a credit card, you guys eat the fees instead of charging them to the fees?
We don't, how do you mean not accounted for? I account for them in my prices, when I set the prices for the program.
Okay, so that's,
So you
so,
mark it up.
so you mark it up to cover
Yeah,
it, so,
yeah.
because you wrote here, it says otherwise not accounted for in revenue-based
Oh.
program. So that was the reason why I was curious, I was like, everything that you do with the town, if you use a credit card, you're paying
Oh.
that fee.
Right, I just, I don't,
So
would be-
it's in the prices, it's just that's where you put it.
yeah, it would be a
not-
lot for me to kind of divide it up.
You don't have to,
Okay, perfect.
that's the piece
Wonderful.
that was the only thing, when I read that, I
Okay.
was like, you're not charging for that?
No, no,
'Cause
no,
I was like, that's a
no,
lot of money.
it's definitely accounted for in the.
Okay, perfect.
What is this on the, supplies and miscellaneous 10,000 that's left? Or that you're looking for?
So this time of year, we are kind of, getting our camp supplies and, oh, sorry, yeah. Camp, that's just updated from the second page of the memo. Camp supplies, pool chemicals, that sort of thing.
So the request was an increase of spending by $140,000 to fund the projected expenses for the remainder of the fiscal year. The overwhelming majority of the request is to fund a capital initiative, approximately $100,000, to resurface the pool.
Right,
So wait a minute, is that two requests, one for 100, one for 140?
No, the total is 140.
Okay.
100 of which
Would be.
approximately would be for
Got it.
the capital initiative for the pool.
yeah, and we're working on that right now. I don't really know where that's gonna come in, but
But you think it's about 100?
Oh, okay, the
yeah,
cost.
yeah.
Okay, does that, I'm trying to find that, where do we find those numbers?
Find what
How many
number?
sheets?
On
the
what we got.
thing that you gotta look on your phone for.
I did look at this, I just wish that.
Would it be helpful if I just reviewed the 53.5 revolving fund? Because you're not appropriating here from anything, you're just allowing the expenditure from the revenue source that they collect. And, yeah, I mean, if you're all very comfortable, I'm trying to help here, if it's not necessary.
Go
ahead.
Yes, so certainly, there's no expenditure unless the revenue is there, so Karina could ask for 140 tonight, and if she didn't have 140, there wouldn't be an expenditure, even if we had it here, for whatever reason, right? If she was telling you she anticipated another 40 in revenue between now and June because she didn't have it, the expenditure only happens when the revenue is there, I just wanna confirm that. And, this is just one of those rare, because the general rule is all revenue is general fund revenue, right? This, it's not a grant fund, it's for a program or an activity, and we've established it at town meeting as of July 1st, every year we establish the limit for the expenditures. We could use whatever limit we wanted, at town meeting every year we could do $1 million. Even if we did $1 million, she'd have to have the $1 million in the account before she made the expense. I'm just trying to put you at ease that this, we know we have the revenue available for what she's asking for.
So you're stating revenue, yet are you saying revenue has to be available or the balance?
Balance.
Well, the
Balance is
balance, the
revolving
balance, yeah.
Okay,
Cause it's not really it's not really revenue as far
No,
as we're looking
no,
at it.
but
It's
it's
a
money
revolving
coming-
fund, money that comes in, so we
That's
gotta
right.
have the balance in the account.
that's
Yes.
right.
The only thing that could be overspent that we could be in trouble would be, is if you, if, and you're not going to, but if, cause it did almost happen, you hire people and have them work and there's no revenue, then it comes out of the general fund, cause it almost did happen here in Rutland, one of the very first years I was on it, so.
But it shouldn't be spent, if there's no money, it shouldn't be spent.
I agree.
It shouldn't be in that
But
situation.
but you remember one of the first years,
I know.
it came close,
Whatever
it
is,
shouldn't
I'm
have
just saying,
happened, but yes, it
if there's
should,
not money there, it shouldn't be
that's correct, but,
committed. It shouldn't be committed to anything if there aren't funds there.
That's right.
That's correct.
We have to prove that, what you just said, if that happens.
right,
Say
that
they
would come,
overspent, that would have to come before the town, they're not doing that, so I
Well-
guess really myself, why are we even involved in this?
it's-
Massachusetts general law requires that if we need to increase the spending limit that was provided for at the annual town meeting,
You have to
Board
have
of
both.
Selectmen and Finance Committee have to take a vote to increase it.
Okay, so that's all, I mean, it's just a
Right.
parliamentary thing.
Well, it's an oversight also,
Yes.
to review it and you can question it or wonder what's
Okay.
going on.
Well, if we have to approve, we could reject it. I don't know what would happen with that.
But why would we?
Well, so if we thought it was inappropriate,
Or fiscally
Yeah,
responsible.
but why would we, alright, yeah, I guess, why would we
If-
care?
if-
No,
I don't
mean,
have the
think-
day-to-day operations of the rec committee, why would I care what they do as long as they don't overspend what they have for money?
well, so the question would be, is there any other opportunity on this money, for anything else other than what it's there for, what the revolving fund is for? Can you take it out and pay for dinners for people with it?
Yeah.
Okay, so, you're right,
Well,
we can't do anything with it, then,
you know what I'm saying, Pete, what,
yeah,
they,
yep, I do,
Well,
Well, it's our job to oversee it and look at it
yeah,
and make
I agree.
sure It's correct.
Yeah, to Karen's point, if something were to if this were an ongoing case where every year it was getting overspent and it had to come out of the general fund and every year, then,
Right.
you know, we would be like, wait a second, doesn't seem like the right thing to do, right? But because we haven't had a problem in X amount of years,
Right, it's been a
it's a
lot
much
of
easier decision to say, you
But
know,
why would we, as the finance committee, have anything to do with how they spend their money that they already have? Why, oversight or not, why do we care?
Well, I think what what Alex just said was that if they overspend and have to go to the general fund.
Well, that's a whole different thing.
No, no,
All
but that's
they're
what I'm
asking
saying.
us for is
But
to
that's-
approve money that they're
Right.
gonna
yeah, yeah.
have.
But I'm saying that if there was a problem, that, like, if it's a consistent problem, and it was coming close,
You know
If
what,
I don't know how to
if I can
describe this,
interject,
but
You have, the finance committee does have oversight because you're approving the warrant article that is,
Oh,
right? So you are, select board and are approved, so you had the oversight in the beginning as well. To say that, yes, I think that's what that program
Every year,
needs
yeah.
to operate. And so you are kind of, you do have a small hand in it, of feeling like that it is to the benefit of the town of Rutland.
It is. It's your money, you're a taxpayer, and you're representing all the other taxpayers, so you need to look at it and say,
it really isn't my $140,000.
Corinne, all of
It
this
is
will
your-
be spent
No,
before
but
July
that's
first.
money that they take in from
no,
revenues.
no,
Yes,
you're
the
a
additional-
resident of Rutland.
yeah.
All of
You're
it
a
will be spent, so
taxpayer.
when
It's
we
your money.
do our new warrant article
We're overseeing it
at
for
the town
everybody.
meeting, it'll be back to the
It'll
normal
be back
starting
to
July
December.
first.
Me and you didn't
Right.
put a dime in.
Right.
Perfect, that's all.
So,
No, it's collective, but it's our money that's being spent.
alright, guys.
could I explain one thing? So we're ahead in expenses for this fiscal year, but we're also ahead in revenue, so we're $42,784 ahead in revenue where we were this time last year. So I get program proposals from instructors all the time that wanna run a program, so usually those are, contract based, so they say, you know, you pay me $9 a week per kid to teach yoga, and I collect the money, I pay them, and I keep the recreation's kind of surplus portion of that overhead cost of that. So I had I added two new programs in FY '25. The non-school day programs, which are February and April vacation, and then we did a couple of single day Veterans Day and one of the other holidays. We offered a program at NAQUAG, run by instructors, and then we had summer sports clinics last year that we ran that also were very successful. So they brought in $17,000, and I spent $14,000 to pay the instructors and stuff like that. So the additional expenses that we've had are backed up by additional revenue that we took in to make that money.
So my question is, and I think you mentioned it earlier, but where is the total amount available that this 140 would come out of?
So if you look at the sheet that I provided, the very last column is showing us what the activity is for the current fiscal year '25 through Q3,
Okay.
through March 31st. The other is just a recap of the last 5 years to see
Okay,
where they've left. So currently at the bottom of that is $211.66
Okay.
available as of March 31st.
as of, okay,
So it does say,
So this-
it says the June 30th, but it's because this is kind of a year-end report, but I kind of squeezed in through Q3 for this conversation we're having tonight.
okay. So, if this money was not needed for what you're requesting it for, what, would it just lay over to next year? Or why is the balance so high, I guess, is what I'm thinking.
So historically, since I've been here at least, which is almost just about 9 years, I think this week, we've been responsible for maintenance and upkeep of the pool facility and, other investments in town. So, that's kind of like, not a rainy day fund, but a fund to pay for the eventual repair of things at the pool. Like last year, we replaced the pool pump. We have the pool filter service before that. It's, you know, always usually we take on about a project a year, so the resurfacing is, you know, one of those things that's gonna become eventually needed, one way or the other, so.
How often do we have to do that?
I'm getting differing opinions. I spoke to a contractor today that said the plaster surface should last about 25 years. Ours is only 10 years old, but I don't have any information. I know it was done in 2014, but I don't know who did it or how they took care of it afterwards. A lot of it depends on the care, how you care for it afterwards when it's curing. I'm learning a lot this week about pools. So I get varying reports. Somebody did say, oh yeah, about 10 years is what you get out of it.
I would assume
Up
usage
here.
plays into that too.
Mm.
'Cause
Yeah,
if you're going
it's-
for like your house, it's probably 25 years, and we have a public, which is more years.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with how the plaster surface is bonded to the concrete underneath and the water quality. So I've been the CPO for a number of years, so I keep the water like absolutely perfect. Before that, I can't speak to what they were doing, and it's really the water quality is going to be the biggest factor, and like how the bonding was when it was installed. So, is my understanding from speaking to various people over the last few weeks.
Okay, so going back to what I was asking, so if you didn't use that $100,000 for this purpose, then that would just stay in that revolving account for, so that's, I guess what I'm getting at, was this was anticipated over the last several years to have some money to do this, if that's what you were thinking of doing?
Yeah. I mean, we knew that it was an eventuality, but we started to have issues last summer, so it kind of.
No issues, what is it, is the surface?
Yeah, we're just
Coming
getting
up.
we're getting some like areas where it's coming, you know, separating and cracking a little
So
bit.
do they take the surface completely off and put a new one on, or
They
they put just
do.
another gel coat on top of it?
No,
or-
well, so the plan right now is to, I don't know how specific you want me to be, but, so next week we're gonna
We're here all night, so.
uncover the pool.
That was a joke, we don't.
Drain it, no. We're gonna uncover the pool, drain it. I have the company that came out today coming back, and they're going to really inspect it and see if we can just repair the places that are the issue, or if it needs to be done over completely. You know, he said there's kind of like a cliff that you fall off of. You can make a couple patches here, there, and for a couple of years, but at some point it just makes sense to do it over. So we're just not sure where we're at.
So do the installers warranty that liner?
I would assume so. I
But we
haven't
don't know
gotten
how
into this.
long, because you said it's been in for
Yeah.
10, and somebody says it might be 25.
Right,
But we don't know if there's,
right, yeah, there's
could be
so
15
many,
years.
right,
I'm
there's
just
so many
wondering if
factors.
there's any resource to be able to go back to the original installer or the.
I haven't been able to find anything
Okay.
who it was. I don't have anything in my records in the rec office, so. I don't know
Donna
if
should be
that's
able to find
something.
it.
Back to when?
2014.
I guess I could look at that under your revolving fund of who would pay, cause it
Oh,
would have been
okay.
significant. Maybe
Maybe.
able to, yeah.
Cause that was the only other thing I was thinking.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's
If
good.
not for anything other than, and then if you're hearing that it is supposed to be that long for
Yeah.
more than one,
Yeah.
then maybe
Makes
not
sense.
call them back.
Right, no, I totally,
Use
yeah,
someone else.
totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, or if they.
I'm not saying anything more than maybe that's just one to
Yep.
stay away from, I don't know.
Yeah.
if
And
the
maybe make sure it
warranties-
says warranty on the
Right.
warranty.
Yeah,
If
that's-
the
Let's be honest,
warranties
the
are
warranty
20
probably
years, maybe we
says
should
that the
look
water
into
has
it.
to
Well,
be
that's it.
at,
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah,
this pH record.
Well,
and
she does
recorded.
that, she does
I
Yeah, but
do
she
that.
didn't do that before,
Yeah.
when it was first put
Yeah, I
in,
get it,
so.
yeah.
And you, it's
probably
kinda like your
good for
tires,
5
like you're
years
gonna
or
rotate them every 2 months, it's like, who does that?
yeah, yeah.
It's the most bogus warranty ever.
So Tom, this report that I provided you shows you what the year end was, so they were planning for this, maybe not
Well,
wanting
so
it.
that's,
Yeah.
I was trying to get
Yeah,
at, just to
yeah.
make sure it was understood.
Yeah. We kind of don't ever know, like,
Right.
when the timeline, we knew we'd have to replace the main pool pump at some point, and then last year, it was, when we opened up the pool, it was clear it was time, so, you know, those kinds of things.
So as far as this report goes, we're only talking about the recreational activities balances and not the safety.
That's correct.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Two different accounts.
So if the guy comes that you're talking about, or the person, I should say, and they say you can patch it, you could probably use, you might use less than that.
Oh,
number
yeah,
to do
absolutely,
whatever.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. When he said that, I was actually
Yeah.
very relieved that that was possibly an option, because
Okay.
But it might be worth it to just bite the bullet and get it done
Exactly,
now. It kinda all
exactly.
depends.
yeah,
Right.
that's why,
Yeah.
you know, the pool company will come out next week and uncover the pool and we'll drain it and see exactly what we're dealing with, but I did get one quote, I sent somebody some pictures and kind of a description of what we needed, and they came back with about $100,000 worth of work, so I was like, so we're working on getting more opinions.
Cool. Anyone wanna make a motion, or?
Well, do we need one of those formal transfer sheets to transfer the money, or?
There's no transfer,
Not
it's just
transfer.
an approval of
Well,
spending,
whatever.
increased
Yeah, no.
spending limit.
No, just a vote.
I make the motion that we increase the spending limit by $140,000 for fiscal year 2025 for the
Second.
recreation.
Seconded. Any other discussion? I know we kind of discussed this a lot before we had a motion, but that's fine. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the table?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you very much, Brady.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
dear. Good
Very,
luck.
very detailed.
Thank you.
Now we just gotta have warm enough weather for you to be able to have
That's
it
right.
done
I know,
before the pool opens.
I had a meeting, I was outside for about an hour this morning and I was pretty sure it was gonna be.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Um,
And Donna,
Yeah.
can you still send me that report tomorrow?
You know, yes, certainly.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I guess we can touch on the meeting minutes now. Meeting minutes from March 20th, 2025, just a few weeks ago.
There was one spelling error I caught. Yeah, I know, I can't help it, I see those things right away, can't help it.
Some things jump out at you.
Yeah, I can't help it. But right now I don't have them with me, I left them in my briefcase, so you know, Alex, so it's to do with, it says relaced instead of released or something like that, and I have the other thing open now, so,
When is it from? Free what?
320. Do you have the minute?
I don't know, I'm looking.
I swore.
I should be able to find it in our emails, right?
Yeah, I got another one open, so I can't,
No, I
oh,
don't.
okay.
You can
I could just,
submit the,
yeah.
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 So, anyone wanna make the motion with Karen's, adjustment to spelling to come? Obviously, that won't change the,
no, it doesn't at all, it's
Yeah.
just, can't help it.
right, so it's pretty easy to accept that with,
Mhm.
that pending change. Can I get a motion from anyone?
I'll make the motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
Any other discussion or any other corrections, adjustments, changes? All those in favor with Karen's spelling correction?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Thank you. Okay, let's go to proposed amendment to Finance Committee Selection Committee Bylaw Appointment Process. God, that's a long word. So I think at this point, everyone knows what was suggested. This was what feels like months ago now, but I think it was only like 3 weeks. I did listen into the select board meeting last week or the week before, and there was quite a bit of angst on how the process was done, and that there kind of is no process, or at least it felt like there was no process on this. Whatever we want to make of that doesn't really matter.
What, they think there's no process?
Yeah, or maybe they thought the process wasn't followed correctly. Not the people who submitted it, the people who pushed it in different directions. I don't know what happened.
Jen was upset
Yes.
because people received this, were starting to have discussions, and they hadn't seen her presentation. That's what was upsetting.
But,
To
it's
her.
Mr.
But the
Rochelle
document was sent to the town, right?
in public record.
I understand that.
Right, but anyway,
I'm just
I don't
saying what
really
was
care
said.
what she
I don't
I
think
just
there's
was
a-
telling you what was said, cause I was at
Yeah.
that meeting, and that's
No,
what she was
no,
upset
we
about.
appreciate that, but she's got no,
I agree.
but anyways, I don't think there's a thing that says it has to do this first or that second. It tells, there's stuff in the bylaws that how it has to be handled, but not like boom,
we looked in the bylaws the other night and we couldn't find where it said that it had to follow any steps, didn't we?
And to be fair, it probably should have some sort of process.
There is something in the select board bylaw that states that they are responsible for any proposed bylaw changes. That is clear.
Well, but the question then is, do they need to come up with a bylaw change, or can?
I would assume at that point, it should have probably been brought to them and them refer it and whatnot.
So,
But-
a proposal would be made to the select board.
Mhm.
They would then go to the bylaw committee.
Right.
Or subcommittee,
Well,
whatever it
and,
is.
and let's just lay it out on the line, the fact is, it would have been nice to have maybe forwarded it, when they forwarded it to the charter committee and to the bylaw committee. I don't know, did I miss it? Cause I didn't get it, did
I didn't
anyone
get it.
else get
So
it?
it
We
went-
only got it from Barbara.
So it went directly to the bylaw committee from the
And
two
the charter
people,
commission.
and the charter,
And
The study
from the
committee.
from the two people that, so they didn't follow
Yeah.
proper procedure.
So they didn't follow the submittal to the.
It all
select
depends
board.
upon who you ask.
there isn't any,
There
there
isn't.
isn't anything that says anything about that.
Well, Cameron just said that
They're
there's,
responsible to oversee the bylaw if it gets to a point where they've gotta present it to the town.
well,
yeah.
but is there, did you say that you saw it?
It's in the it says they're responsible for bylaw changes.
So, they
This is
need,
a bylaw change.
if that needs to go to them, they need to submit it to the bylaw committee.
Okay,
Committee holds their, whatever they do.
I would just suggest that we shouldn't read anything into what they should or shouldn't do. I understand
I
what
get
she's
it.
saying,
I get it.
No, I agree.
but that can be a whole different
At
host of
this
things.
point, it's already out, so we gotta have the
And
conversation.
frankly, this is not, like, it doesn't, we don't care about that as a finance
Right.
committee, how
Right.
that process is.
Right.
Well, we do, because in all seriousness, this should have come, the respectful way to do it would have been to have at least CC'd us on the submissions to the other
So
departments.
we can say that that's respectful, and
Right,
I don't
right.
disagree with that.
Right,
But if they thought they were following the proper process, is kind of my point of saying, like, they thought they were doing the right thing, whether they were or not, and whether it was intentionally done or not, it doesn't matter, right?
Well, they thought they were doing the right thing in the beginning, then when people questioned it at a meeting, they didn't do it the right way, they got caught, and then now they tried to say that it didn't go the right process. Well, they started the process. They sent it to the bylaw subcommittee
with the charter committee.
and the charter committee. Nobody else did. So to merely say when it gets discussed at a selectmen's meeting that it wasn't following the right procedure or whatever, they started it. And once it's in public records, it doesn't matter. In
Yeah.
Baron's opinion.
That's the case, anytime
What it
you
is.
talk about it,
Absolutely
and
correct.
anyone can have it.
Yeah, but so again, the respectful thing, Karen's correct, would have been to have included the finance committee in a finance committee change, but they didn't do anything wrong by not sending it to us as well, frankly, by the policies and procedures, right? They didn't do anything wrong.
Well,
Can we just move on and start talking about it instead of we stop walking around about this,
I
because
guess-
we can
Yeah.
go around and around, we're never gonna come to a consensus on that.
Correct.
I would agree with you that the thing, but there was nothing wrong done, but, because there isn't anything that says specific, just what I said a little while ago, there's nothing that says it's gotta make this step before it can make that, blah, 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 blah.
To Alex's
Anyways.
point, maybe there should be.
Well,
The
maybe it
question's
should be,
gonna
but that's not our
how
problem,
would
either.
that,
That's
how would
somebody
that
else's
happen?
problem.
That's, and I don't think that's for us to.
Right.
No, not for us to decide.
So, let's just start talking about the pieces of it, there's quite a few different pieces of it.
Well, I guess here's my two cents. I don't think we should worry about it till, we need to get through the budget, we need to get through the town meeting before we start. This is not gonna happen in the next 3 days, this is gonna be a long I'm pointing to the wrong things here, but
Yeah, and
it's gonna be a
that's-
long process, number
Yeah.
one. Number two is, apparently, whoever's proposing this has got some kind of presentation. Has that been made? Has there been anything else said about it? I mean, it's, other than getting the public record of those things that were submitted to the town and reading them, we don't know anything else about it. And there's no, I don't believe there's any conclusions in there that I read, it's just, here's an idea.
Yeah. So, does anyone have ideas as to what's in there? Because it was pretty detailed, to be fair. I mean, the presentation hasn't been done, but what was,
I think
what they were looking for is pretty
is there.
detailed.
Well, okay, so what are they looking for?
More transparency in how we are appointed.
2-year terms.
2-year term, no, 2 terms.
2
term
terms,
limit.
and then we have to be
Yeah,
out.
okay.
break.
And then we have to be out for a year.
A selection committee, and, am I missing something? I think those are the 3 things, right?
What is it, the Board of Selectmen, the head of the Finance Committee,
And one other person from,
and the moderator?
well, that was the example they were using, that, they didn't actually suggest that, that was just an example.
No, it's in right here.
It
Is
says
it
right there,
suggested?
yeah, no, it says, shall be appointed by a appointing committee consisting of moderator, select board chair, and finance committee chair.
Okay, never mind. I
That's
read
on
it.
the one with the lines drawn out, Karen.
Mhm. Yep,
See, I'm
it's,
just saying, I agree with you, you can read it, you can read the stuff different ways, so.
So I mean, there's a number of, those are the 3 major points of what they're looking at changing. I mean, I think that it was asked, Tommy, to be discussed a little bit, so I am making it a point to add it to the agenda because it was asked to be discussed. So I wanna make sure that we're getting what we want out of it, that we're getting, things discussed that wanna be discussed. The meeting for the bylaw that this is being brought up in is tomorrow. A kind of note here, we are posted for tomorrow. We are not here, which is gonna be a little bit weird. The only reason I posted for tomorrow was because I was under the understanding that multiple people were going to be at the bylaw committee meeting, but they rejected a joint meeting. So, I'm not entirely sure how this is gonna work tomorrow.
They rejected a joint meeting?
Yes,
Who did?
bylaw committee.
Why?
I did not get a reason. But, so, we are going to meet at the Woods, whatever,
good studio.
tomorrow. We will go over whatever agenda items we have on the agenda. And then, we will probably not end the meeting and just have whoever wants to move over to the meeting. And we'll probably make it quick. I don't know if that's legal.
We're gonna crash the other meeting?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, we're posted.
We're posted.
We're
and-
posted,
and
okay.
They can't stop the people from going into the meeting.
No.
It's
a public meeting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they can't
The
kick us out.
moderator said there's precedence being set that a note on the door saying the meeting has been moved to such and such a place has been occurred in this town many times.
Yeah.
And been an accepted practice.
So they could be meeting in Dunkin' Donuts.
No, he's saying that we could do that.
Oh,
He suggested.
oh,
We could do that.
okay.
Where if we, could you cite what Boston said about this, so Karen, did you already talk to Karen about it?
No.
Alright, tell you,
He didn't, he thought it was a little bit fishy.
What was fishy?
That were excluded?
That, no, that we're just gonna leave our meeting and go to a different meeting.
Oh. Oh, well.
But I don't really, I don't.
But why would we leave our meeting? We're going there to discuss the bylaw.
yeah, but our meeting is not in the same place that their
Yeah.
meeting is in.
We were scheduled.
And
for
we're
the
scheduled
workshop.
at the Woods House, and they're scheduled here.
So why
on
did that
purpose.
happen?
Well,
Why did that happen?
according to that, there's no available rooms here tomorrow.
But I thought
But we're-
the
the whole
reason we
purpose
posted was in
is
case
because
more than
the
3 of us showed up.
Thank you. Now you know what Darren's stepping in.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, we got posted at the Woods House when we were requested at the meeting that was here.
Right,
So their meeting is here,
But
so,
we got posted to be over there. There's
but
the grind.
we weren't posting for a separate meeting, was my understanding, it was
Well,
posted just cause we were going
Yes,
to.
it was supposed to be, and then they said no joint meeting. So then we got posted, just not.
But it doesn't have to be a joint meeting, it was just because if there
If
were more than three of us were
show
there.
up, we got a
That's-
quorum.
It has
so
to be a
that's
quorum.
technically a joint meeting.
When you go to another meeting, just because three of you show up, you're not you're heading to the meeting to listen to what's being said. And maybe say something for that meeting that you wanna say, but not for the finance committee.
But it's a technicality, isn't it, that we would,
I don't
that
believe
more
so.
than
Well,
three of us would be there?
I'd like to somebody who show me that, cause that keeps coming up, and I
Well,
think somebody
either way,
made that up.
we can figure this out. We're
So-
gonna do what we wanna do and
So
figure
I
it out.
guess my whole thing would be is that, the secretary who posted our meeting would need to amend ours that we are meeting with the bylaw committee in the room that the bylaw committee is with, just in case there is a quorum.
It's too late for that.
No,
You
we
just-
can just add it to the.
You can
agenda.
just, you just saying that's all it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
understand how that even happened, cause the whole purpose of the meeting was to go to the bylaw committee meeting to make sure.
Which we
I'm gonna
were
stop you
invited
for
to,
one
didn't we
second.
get an
Thank you.
invitation to
Thank-
that?
I know,
All the reasons.
I know.
I know, all, you know what I'm saying, Karen?
I know exactly,
Or they
that's,
told us,
No.
but they told us when the meeting was going to be to discuss it, right?
yeah, Barbara
So
invited
if
us.
they told us that it was
Oh.
gonna be there, now they're saying they don't want us there?
No,
I don't,
no, I don't
This
think
whole
that's-
thing is fishy to begin with.
Anyway, so we'll figure this out tomorrow.
Yeah, it says the next meeting of the bylaw committee will be held Thursday, April 10th at 7 p.m. and this proposal has been added to our agenda. You are invited to attend this meeting and share your opinions. Our public hearing is at the beginning of the meeting, so we could discuss this first. Obviously, this is in a very preliminary stage, So we've been invited, so it's just to post it to make sure that we're all
Is that an
set.
invitation to the finance committee or the?
That was to the finance
personnel?
committee.
Came to all of us.
Came to every one of us on 3/27.
Greetings, finance committee and town moderator.
So we don't have to,
Oh.
go to a meeting, we just need to show up here,
Let me,
unless we have something to discuss.
I will, talk to
What,
Tamika tomorrow.
what,
We gotta-
I'd like to know the answer to Tommy's point about if we can go to a meeting without being,
Well, let's move on. We can figure that out, but we're not gonna figure that out right now, so,
Well, you're gonna need the lawyer to get involved in that one.
yeah.
And that costs
not
money.
going there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do we wanna talk about this anymore tonight before the meeting tomorrow, which is kind of why it's on our agenda tonight to make sure
Well, I
that,
think it's important that we discuss it, cause it's been discussed at the charter meeting.
I think it's worth discussing, I think it's worth understanding. I think, I mean, I'll give my opinion on some of the points and, then other people can talk. I think that's where I'll start. Personally, I think that the select board shouldn't have any, say in who's on the finance committee. I think the separation is a good thing. I don't even like that they can, accept or deny us. I think that that's silly, and I think I spoke out against that when the original bylaw was created last year. Not original, but the change bylaw was made last year. So I'm firmly against that. I'm not against the more transparency. I think that that's not necessarily a bad thing. I did talk to Randy a little bit about it, and he's not against that. We can be more transparent about how the selection process is done. I think that would be a positive thing.
Filling out the volunteer application. I don't know about you guys. Did you have to give your
No.
Resume to
No.
Randy?
No.
You did not?
I had to
I
give
mean,
my
I
resume.
told him my resume.
Okay.
Oh, I had to,
explained
I
what
had to
he asked
submit
for,
my
huh?
resume to him, and I'm assuming the finance committee had to look at it.
Nope.
No.
Randy looks at it and then he does,
Oh, okay.
you know. But I know mine went to Randy, and when I went to be ratified by the select board, they asked to see my resume, and I was ratified with both of that. The volunteer application form is kind of basic.
I've never even seen one, to be honest.
It's, hi, my name is Karen Narald, I live up Gussit Road, and I wanna be part of the finance committee, and here's why.
And to be
that's
fair,
new, that's only recent, that form
Right,
is down.
exactly, it's only
Okay.
been out, right, I get it.
we should, I don't, that form is fine, but doing anything more, I mean, we got a hard enough time with getting people involved. Making it more difficult is not a positive thing.
Correct.
I'm not against finding the most qualified people and the best people that can help. But I am against putting barriers in place for getting people involved and getting people to especially volunteer. Voter positions are completely separate, but volunteering is volunteering, right?
The reason why the moderator appoints him is to be totally separate, that's
Right.
all. And
To-
it,
from
and
the
it should
Board of
never
Selectmen.
change, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I
It's
said, I don't
checks
even
and
like the fact-
balances.
if there wanted to be some sort of, personally, if there wanted to be some sort of, if the town wanted some sort of joint way of getting people on, if moderator did like 3 of us or 4 of us or 5, whatever number, and then there was some sort of committee, like appointing committee, that wanted to do 2 positions, or like, we could find, I think that would be reasonable, I don't care, I don't think it's necessary, because again, you have to find people that are willing to put time into appointing finance members now, like, I'm not sure that that's the best use of someone's time, or that you're gonna find people that wanna do that. So it goes back to, do we have enough people that are involved, and then who are those people, and they should not, again, be select board people, because I think that those should be, again, separate, right?
I guess I would love to see their presentation, because I just don't understand what's driving it.
Well, Jen was aware of this meeting, because she brought it up at the select board meeting, so she was aware of it. So she could have either come to this public meeting and or sent us her presentation so that we are aware, and, at a certain point, once it becomes out in the public atmosphere, you gotta kinda deal with it. I guess my thing is we don't have a selection group that does any other appointed committee. And there are plenty of other appointed committees that hold as much power as we do. For instance, one of them is meeting across the way. They have a lot of power, and those
We
people.
have no power.
I get it, but what I'm saying is they're, very important, all of those things, and they're just done.
Who are they appointed by?
They're appointed by the select board. And I guess my question is, and this bylaw has only been in place, the amended new bylaw has only been in place 6 months.
Yeah.
And one of the petitioners was involved in changing that bylaw originally.
So why wasn't it brought up 6 months ago?
Right. And they're saying it's because, Randy might, he won't be moderator forever. Now, previously, we had another moderator who brought different people on, and, it's worked out. I know when Randy was at the charter committee, he did mention that sometimes people don't want to be as transparent because they don't wanna admit that they don't wanna sit. So, you kind of reach out and find out people, and sometimes you just say, no, thank you, I don't want that, but they don't wanna, they wanna still discuss it, but they don't wanna put their name out there yet, until they know more about the opinion, about the position.
That's fair.
I know myself, I guess, why put term limits on us? It takes you several years to learn how this works.
And
Yeah.
3 to understand it,
Right.
Yeah.
and then you're getting into it, 3,
Right.
definitely 2 anyways. to
I
understand.
mean, I'm like, we have people who sit on CIPC and Zoning Board of Appeals that I've been at meetings, and they've told us they've been there for over 20 years. So I don't think we have anyone that sits on this committee for more than that. I think the longest we've ever had in my tenure here is 15 years.
Are you that person?
No. I'm out before then.
So
Maybe up sooner than-
my opinion is
You
that
can't keep me
term limits are good.
Mhm.
In general, term limits are good. But to pick on an organization and say, you're gonna be limited and you're
Nobody
not,
else is.
it's
Yeah.
just,
It's not fair.
it's not fair, it's not equitable.
Yeah.
And as Darren is saying, if you're, what you're looking to be able to do is to provide a continuation of expertise in people that have been participating in this stuff, then, don't have any term limits, but be consistent with it.
Yeah.
I mean, ZBA should be term limited. I think this Board of Selectmen should be term limited.
Mhm.
I do.
They're elected, so it's a little
Doesn't
bit
matter,
different, but.
we elect the president,
Yeah,
president is two
right.
terms.
But, I mean, I guess my thing would be is, you know, I know it was said at the charter committee that it wasn't a personal attack, but how do you not feel that we as members aren't being attacked when we're being told that we're only good enough to sit for 2 years and then we have to get off? Two
Yeah.
terms.
And
Well, I
maybe,
mean-
and that maybe we're not even good enough to sit on this committee in the
Right.
first place, and
Right.
Cause it's gonna be,
wants-
we're gonna have to go through this review process,
You could absolutely look at it the other way, that fresh blood is good, term limits are
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
right? So like,
But for everybody,
but for everyone, agreed, 100%. I actually think that this is probably one of the worst groups to have a term limit, because I 100% think what Dan said is true, that it takes 3, and this is coming, I mean, I've been in finance now for 15 years. It's not a long time, but it's not a short time either. And I definitely did not understand a lot of what was happening within the
I
first
agree.
2 years.
the town
So-
right now is lucky that we have 4 people that are very in tune to finance, that do it for a job or did it for a job, and 3 people at large, one the former fire chief, 2 other members from across the town that just have diverse views on it.
Yeah.
And I think the town is fortunate for that group, and I think that if they keep poking the bear, they're poking the wrong bears, because this is not, none of us, there's no financial gain in this thing. There's, alls it is people, we know what to do.
Well, it's a lot of late nights. This is not.
Yeah.
It's
It's
a
a lot
thankless
of
job.
late
for
nights, and
sure.
it's a thankless job, and then you get a lot of crap mixed in between.
It's because everything that we do seems to create an emotion in somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
And
it's
that-
money.
Mhm.
Money's emotional.
Yeah,
For everyone.
Actually, we got a letter tonight that it's emotional.
yeah. So it becomes a situation where,
The planning board,
Oh,
that we should discuss
what,
after.
were you guys BCC'd on that?
Yep, we, sent personal letters that you.
Oh, each person got their own letter.
Yeah,
That's funny.
that said that they sent it to you.
too.
oh, I didn't see it.
I didn't
No, I
say-
didn't see it.
Well, you should have it. Just
So
keep
they
it.
sent it to you to send to us, I guess. No? No?
Well, but there you go.
I don't have one.
I was gonna bring it up, so that
You
was,
would've got it at,
it was like 4 o'clock.
Don't have it.
from Noel Anderson, would it be in your spam kiddo?
Here's
Oh, do you spell my name right?
Well, I can't answer that.
Anyway, we'll bring that up after. So that's it was 11:20 a.m.
No,
So-
I had it up all day.
I wanted, because I was gonna say the same, and I agree with what you said, really, it's the same thing I feel, that the way it is set up right now is, and I keep using the word, they always use separation of church and state, but it's not church, obviously,
Right.
but there's a separation, it's there for a reason, so that you're
That's
not
right.
appointed by another board, you're not done that way, so that you have, we talked about earlier, when Darren was talking about how this other thing we talked about earlier, we're supposed to be looking at this overall picture for the townspeople, for the taxpayers, to make sure that there's something, that if we see something that we wanna suggest should be different, watch it out for their money.
Right.
And we shouldn't have to be answering to somebody else that wants to be on the board. So, again, you said it too, we spoke about it when the bylaw was being changed with that, right? I made that motion at the town meeting trying to eliminate, because I thought it should be 2 completely separate things.
Yep. And I'll stand by.
We're
that, too.
doing this,
I
the
totally
town's been
agree.
doing this for as long as they've been doing these bylaws, but not bylaws, I shouldn't say that, bylaws, but also, it's the state law and how a finance committee operates.
Mhm.
And what is in that other report, is 80% of the towns in the Commonwealth do the same model,
Moderate. Yeah.
so.
And there's no doubt in my, there's no doubt in my mind that our town moderator has put together a very diversified background group. As Darren said, laid out each person. This is a very diversified group that looks at this in many different ways, and we have a lot of different opinions here.
Maybe this
People
is-
might argue that that of different things he's done, but at the end of the day, this is a very solid group for what our job is.
Right, and I wanna just keep going on this, so you talked about, length of service and stuff, you know, people, it does take a lot of years to figure things out and make sure you're doing the right thing, and remember, but again, I wanna, we just talked, again, this, money.
Rec council?
The rec council that we talked about, I'm not picking on, I'm just, but as an example, people keep changing. We ask the question, is there a warranty, is it this, nobody knows, where's the records, who keeps track of this stuff, right? So you gotta have somebody that has some background knowledge and some long-term knowledge to stay on top of a lot of these things. How many times has the administration changed, and how many times have we got the speech when we go to sit down to start looking at the budget, and I keep saying this to a lot of people, you can't spend free cash on on reoccurring things, you can't do, but then we turn around and
Do it.
where it's recommended to us to do it, and we say we wanna do some of it, but we don't wanna do a lot of
The
it.
last one that gave us that
But-
speech is recommended it.
But that's my point is that if we look at it, how many people have changed in the last 5, 6, 7 years in our administrative posts in town? And it's several of us that are here that are able to say, look back and say, we did that, 5 years ago, or we did that 3 years ago, and Bob, it was for these reasons, but it didn't work, or it did work, or whatever. So you need that time frame. I'm not saying people should stay on forever, but there's no harm in people staying that are doing their job and paying attention and recommending good things to the townspeople,
Well,
from
learn
being there for a long
Knowledge is
term.
important.
Learn from history.
Right.
History is there to teach us.
Correct.
Well, look
what-
at, we helped Austin. The streetlights, I'm like, okay, I tried that once before, I was told that stuff cost us something, so, but it's stupid things like that make a difference.
Right.
Mhm.
And the last
Every
thing,
little bit.
the last
Every
thing I
little bit
wanna
makes a
say
big
is,
difference.
I forgot.
Oh, sorry. You gotta write these things down, Tommy.
I know. I
It'll
do
come
that
to you
all the
3
time.
a.m., it's okay.
They'll come back to you.
No, I know, I just had it there too, what was I gonna say? I'll think of it in a second.
I don't think we've ever had anybody that sat on here
Oh,
for,
I know what I wanted to say. No, it's simple, I'm not against change, I'm not against saying, oh, well, maybe we should, but okay, so lay out why is the way we're doing it not doing it properly, or not achieving the goals we want, or the town would like? And here's the way you can do that to change this, not just because maybe something didn't happen the way you wanted it to happen, or there's people that are maybe
Exactly.
chirping in your ear that I have respect, for your accounting abilities and all that stuff. I'm not saying that, as Darren said, we got accounting people here. But government accounts and government laws, especially in Massachusetts, a lot of laws are different than what you do for accounting out
Oh,
in
you
a business.
gosh,
definitely.
without a doubt, which is
So-
why there's a learning curve.
That's what I'm saying, so
Yeah.
you gotta learn those things, and the accounting and running town government, county government, state governments is quite a bit different than just saying what a business can do.
No argument there.
It's just odd that all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think the overall opinion of everyone here, and again, we don't need to give a board, vote or anything. I think talking about this prior to tomorrow is a good thing, just to make sure that we all know how each other feels. I think everyone kind of gave their opinion to a degree.
Right.
I think that's important, and I think it's good that it sounds like we're all pretty much on the same page. I didn't think about Karen's point about when I said I think transparency is positive. I didn't think about people who are interested but don't necessarily want to be out there, and that's a good point. I think that we could be more transparent, but I think we need to be respectful of that situation or any other situation that I can't think of, or that we can't think of.
I guess the whole thing comes in where, in order for you to see who wants to join the bylaw committee or wants to do all that, you have to go in and you have to look at the select board packet for that meeting when they're going to do it. You have to read the agenda, you have to see it. So it's not as easy to find it, they are either.
So, I guess the point of that is we should be more transparent about all the appointment processes if we're going to do that.
Well, all the rest of them have to fill out the volunteer form now.
And what would be
And I'm
wrong
sure we're
with
gonna
us,
have to eventually.
you know,
What do
and
you
what would
think?
be the problem with us filling out one of those forms
Well,
and giving
the only-
it, and giving it to,
But,
Yeah.
but
Randy.
the only reason why is because that doesn't just go to Randy, it goes to other people. It becomes a bigger thing than where you could just pull Randy aside. The thing is some people don't know how to apply for the finance committee. Well, if you're
it's on the
interested,
website right now.
even still, even before it was, there's 2 pages of our finance committee bylaw, and it clearly states, finance committee is appointed by the town moderator. You go to the town website, click on town moderator, Randy Jordan.
You could also probably you could probably call any town office and
Right.
ask them, hey,
But-
I'm interested in, all right.
But that was the whole concern.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, but if you're really interested, you're going to find out.
Yeah, and it should be referred to the town moderators.
I mean,
Right.
we also are the only committee that are only allowed to serve on this committee.
Right.
Very different, so I'm sorry, but we should be treated slightly different because this is the only one you're allowed on. You're not allowed to sit on any other committee.
Yeah.
I mean, so, and we have select board members that sit on several committees,
Which is bad.
regardless.
There's a lot of conflict of interest.
But,
Well.
Could be.
It's not even so much conflict of interest, it's, I don't know the right proper term, but I guess monopolization of power is.
Yeah.
If we can't serve on the charter committee because of a possible conflict of interest, then neither should they.
Yeah, I
That's my opinion.
but they
And
need
how
the
could,
choice.
how could a FinCom member, how could that be a conflict of interest when
I
you're
asked the
working on
question when they
charter
were looking
committee?
for people, if I could serve on that, and they checked several places, and they said,
well, we brought this up in the bylaw
Absolutely.
changing, because we said
And they
now that
said-
we're no longer in charge of the budget, can we sit on other committees?
Because we're no longer having to be impartial. Once upon a time, we had to be, it was best for us to be impartial because we were responsible for the budget.
Yeah.
So now we're no longer responsible for the budget, but the people who are responsible for the budget aren't held to the same standards.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
all
but
right.
we are responsible for the budget, because once the budget's given to us to review, and we make
a
specify,
motion
or
on the
we
floor.
make whatever recommendation we want, that goes to the town meeting, is our recommendation to the
I
town, in
understand.
which you're responsible for, and that's in the state law also.
Right,
And I agree,
but not for
but in the
individual line
past-
items.
But in the past,
So
we
it could be,
played,
I'm not saying we do, I'm saying it could be.
in the past, we played a much bigger role than we do
Well,
now.
yeah.
So that was a thing.
Anyway.
You know, there were many years, as you
Depends how
recall,
you
that
wanna look
we,
at, but I still think it's a pretty big role to do, even though it's more because we have a town administrator now that puts together the
Right.
package of the numbers, and then we review it, it's a
yeah,
little
but they
different.
go to the select board first, and they make the decision, then it comes back to us. So it's different than before, where we were the
I
bee.
don't,
That was-
I know, see what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I think it's still the same thing, but just said differently.
But,
I've done a lot of budgets, and I always went to the selectmen first, I mean, they went to the finance committee too, but the selectmen always do it, because that's who you worked for.
well, and that was the thing, remember back in the day, we used to sit here with them before we had a town administrator. It was the select board and the finance committee that put them together. Then we hired Margaret, and that was the last year that happened.
Okay, anyone wanna make any other points on that, before we end the topic? I don't think we need any motions, I don't think there's any motions to make there.
So what's the expectation out of this now? I mean, so there's a meeting tomorrow,
Mm-hmm,
and that committee will discuss the bylaws,
mm-hmm.
and then they'll take it and present it and do their normal thing and go to town meeting at some point.
Yeah.
So what should we be doing about that? I mean, because last time the bylaws were put together and the finance committee piece was presented to us and we commented on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming we're gonna end up having the same kind of process with this,
I'm doubting it based on what we're
Really? You don't-
seeing right now.
okay?
I'd be very,
I have
Surprised.
no idea how it'll go forward. I mean, I think we could certainly, if bylaw committee decides to move forward with this, I think that we could formally request some sort of XYZ. If they deny us, I don't know what we can do
It
about it.
didn't work at the last time meeting, when I tried to
They
request
haven't even
that
brought
XYZ.
this up at their meeting yet.
Right.
Well, I'm not speaking for any of them, but they have, first of all, they're just gonna look at it at their next meeting, so
Mhm.
it's I'm sure that they would come back to whatever committee it is that's
Yeah.
doing it, and they would talk about it, but,
I would agree.
I mean, like I said earlier, it's a ways off.
Yeah, I don't think,
Not
I
gonna
don't think we
happen
need
Thursday
any sort of,
Okay.
any sort of I mean, I think there's follow-up after the meeting. If there's anything comes of this, we will certainly discuss it further, but I think at this point, it was more just because, we're expecting to have a group there tomorrow of the finance committee, and I wanted to make sure that we had a chance to talk through any of the details, get our opinions out there, make sure that we all understood what was going on
Are
to
we
the
gonna
best.
be given an opportunity to speak our opinions tomorrow night, or is, what is
I
that?
don't see why, if
Well,
you're
if you're
there, you
citizen,
should
yeah.
be able to say
How
something.
about,
We
it's
were
a public
invited.
session?
But I'm gonna say, tomorrow night, I think, well, I don't wanna say, you're there to give, if you wanna give your opinion, that's fine. We haven't, we're discussing what our opinions are, it's on our agenda that we're gonna discuss it.
Yeah,
But until we come back as a group and talk, we're not giving any opinions tomorrow night as a group.
Correct.
We haven't voted on anything.
Well,
Correct.
well, would it be advantageous to us to vote that we are in total disagreement with this proposed bylaw change?
but I
wouldn't
don't know that
want
we are. I think that there's pieces of it that could, I think that there's changes that could happen that aren't necessarily in this, but there's changes that could happen that meet, pieces of it a partial way that could be helpful. So I don't know
Well,
that,
then that would be in the form of a negotiation with us, that we would work towards that, but right now, the first shot was fired across the bow. Now, my point is that the shot should be back.
Let's not make it into something that it shouldn't be.
It's,
That committee is gonna discuss it
I'm not saying that
too.
committee, I'm saying the two people that did it fired across our bow.
Well, then you go talk to them then.
Oh, don't
I'm-
you worry, tomorrow night I'll talk
I'm
to
not
them.
interested in doing that now.
So my
What I'm
only,
saying is let, the other committee's gotta digest this, and their job, according to the town bylaw, is to look at how does this fit in with the town. Of course, they've got a whole range of things to do before they get to the point of saying they may wanna do A, B, C, or D.
So this is gonna, eventually, this is gonna become a warrant, an article on a warrant.
maybe.
Maybe.
Well, so the bylaw's gotta be presented to town. If
bet
this
maybe.
goes
What,
forward
they
to
may
the point.
recommend not doing anything.
Alright, so I'm just saying that if it does get to the point where the bylaw committee says, yes, we wanna be able to do this, it has to go on the warrant as an article.
Oh, right, absolutely.
Okay. We will get the opportunity to be able to recommend or not recommend that article. And then at the town meeting floor, we can individually stand up and say what we think about that.
Correct.
Carrie, did you have something else?
I don't think that works, cause it
I
didn't work
don't.
for us before.
I'm sorry.
I understand what
don't
you're saying, people, we got blown out of the water, we
We
tried to
all
fight it.
agreed, we met with Peter Crane and his group, and we all came to an agreement on the bylaw.
And it
And then
changed.
December 9th, 2023, during their 9-hour meeting, the bylaw changed. And when we were brought in to have a discussion, we were completely, I know I was completely caught off guard with the changes that were made.
Okay,
And plus it was lumped in with all the
I mean,
sections of bylaws,
Right,
it
so
wasn't
it was,
individual.
so that was the whole thing. When we were brought in at that select board meeting, it was, here's the bylaw, and that was
the
it.
Board of Selectmen and the committee to revise the bylaws changed. That's not this committee we're talking about now, because this is a whole new
I
committee
know that.
that just started.
All
We're not,
I'm
I'm not against that committee, I'm against the two people who put this in.
I think to be honest with you, I think we schedule a meeting after the town meeting to have them come in and give their presentation to the finance committee.
After the bylaw meeting.
Mhm.
after the bylaw meeting,
After
after
the
the
town
town
meeting.
meeting.
Oh, after the town meeting.
Mhm.
So you're talking like 2 or 3 months.
I'm talking 2 or 3 weeks.
At town meeting?
After town meeting, well, it's only, what, a month away, so 5 weeks, 6 weeks, not months. Because then it will be at that point. The problem that I have is this is being discussed at the charter meeting. There is no reason the charter can't make that change even though the bylaw hasn't gone through.
That's true.
So
Well,
that's the
but
whole
not-
thing.
The
We should
change
at
of
least-
what they may recommend.
Exactly. It's not gonna be blessed. All I'm saying is that we should at least invite them and then they can choose to accept or
That's
deny
fine.
our
Yeah.
invitation.
I mean, if you wanna make a, do you wanna make a motion to, or do you wanna wait until after tomorrow's?
No, I think we should send out the invitation now and let them know what day works best for them on a Thursday night.
I guess my choice would be, if we're gonna listen tomorrow night, let's listen to what's said and then go from there.
We'll have another meeting before that, Karen.
We'll have
It's
several
not gonna,
meetings,
it's
we
not gonna
should.
be, I'm not gonna let up on it. I mean,
Well,
we'll
we
finally-
have, next week we have recommendations on the warrant articles.
Well, we could make, so we could make that request next week at that meeting. We could just, like, do meeting minutes and then we could say, hey, we're requesting this this presentation.
Because it's a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen.
But we
next week,
shouldn't be asking, we should be asking them as citizens. It has nothing to do with the positions that they hold in the town. We should be requesting that to their personal emails because that's who made the.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just saying, we can make that request as a finance committee at the meeting next
Right,
week.
you're saying that they should be addressed to the people that signed
Yeah,
this
that's
letter.
right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely,
Yeah, yeah.
that's true, because they're the one that made the.
Right, so it should be sent
So-
to their personal emails that say,
Yeah, yeah.
we would like to have you have a meeting on, May 8th or May 15th or
I
whatever.
give it to their personal mails, they don't really
Did it
respect
come
that
from
on
their
anybody
personal
It
else.
came
emails?
from their personal emails, so we gotta do the right thing, whether we agree or disagree, that's what we do to do it the right way. Cause you don't sink to the level, you keep it up on the right way.
So, are we making that request now, or do you wanna wait until the joint meeting next week to make that request?
No, I think we should make it now,
I think we should make it next week.
I do too.
Not at the meeting, that's not the time for it. Cause you're talking to them in their different positions.
I'm just saying,
No,
in our
we're-
finance committee meeting, we were
Not in
making
a
that,
meeting,
yeah,
we
we're
make
having
a
a,
vote to
I'm not
ask.
saying we look at them and say, hey, we want you guys, no, we're gonna say,
Right.
and we're gonna say the same thing we would say tonight,
Right,
What's the difference a week?
hearing what happens tomorrow.
right.
Well, that's
Give the time for Tommy's point, give the bylaw committee the opportunity to
We'll
have
have
all
a
this
meeting
happen.
next week, that can be, we can have agendas of this finance committee that don't directly.
That's what I'm saying,
Mhm.
yep, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying, waiting till next week just
I,
seems
I
like,
guess I would like to see what they have to do tomorrow night, and then let's.
that's how I feel.
Yeah, and see, I was just looking at it as, this way they can come and talk to us as finance committee and finance committee only.
And I think they should, and we can make that we'll make that motion and request.
Because we're gonna be a public comment as part of the bylaw committee.
Right.
So it's very different than the
and-
questioning that we can do in a meeting here.
And they very well may get your letter and say, well, we don't want it, we presented our stuff and
Uh-huh.
that's it.
And,
That's right.
and I am in full agreement on that, but at least we do the right thing and what they
Yes,
choose
I
to
don't
do it.
disagree with it.
That's what I'm saying,
I don't disagree with doing the right
is you
thing, that's
don't,
100% correct.
So we have a partial disagreement here. Do we wanna make a motion on when we want to make this request? Is that something that, does anyone wanna make that motion? Do we wanna, where are we at? Do we wanna put this
My
to a vote?
feeling is, I definitely wanna make this request, I would like to hear what's going on tomorrow night. We have a meeting next week, which is a joint meeting, but we also have our meeting. And if we feel then, not as a joint meeting, we will make a statement that we would like to have, based on the knowledge that we got at the
As side note,
Based on
bylaw.
so side note,
Although
we're
we-
posted tomorrow, we can
we've
also
gotten
make
so
this
far
request
on this
tomorrow.
That's
We
true.
could, we
We
could just
could.
go off to ourselves and say,
Yeah,
hey,
Good.
we're gonna make this request, and,
Yeah.
you know, we put our own note down and.
and we're not gonna forget.
I know, I'm just saying, trying to do it the right way.
I'm not worried about you forgetting it, dude. Alright, so we're fine with waiting until, at least we have the opportunity tomorrow as well. So let's listen to what happens at bylaw. If we then, we can
Unless someone
walk
wants to
outside
make
of
a motion.
bylaw and we can make that, or we can wait until next week. So we have opportunities to make that, request. I think I would like to hear what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, let's see, I'm fine with that.
I disagree, but that's fine, I don't care. I don't care, I guess. I just think that
Can you tell me, just explain
if
to me
they
why
can't,
this,
the reason I disagree is because what they're gonna do at public comment for the bylaw committee is going to be very different than what I would envision here. That we're going to ask as members of the finance committee. They're going to be making a presentation to the bylaw committee. We're not gonna be able to just interject all the time because it's public comment.
But
And at I don't know how they run their meetings, I haven't been, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't been. But usually public comment can be shut off, whereas here we could have an open and honest dialogue as the finance committee.
Right, but
So we could
you
listen, sorry.
You shouldn't interject when they're talking to the, whoever, the
Right.
formal part of it,
Right.
because that's why we're gonna listen tomorrow.
Right.
And then we're gonna do just what you said, with the next meeting, we ask them to come, and then that's where we're gonna have a back and forth dialogue.
Yeah, Karen's just saying that she thinks we should do that no matter what, so why not just do it now? I don't,
Right.
I understand
I
what
mean,
you're
why
saying.
wait, because next week we're gonna be doing budgets and recommendations and all of that,
But essentially, if we wait until tomorrow, we're waiting 24 hours to hear what they have to say in
Yeah.
a meeting. It's really, is it a difference
so
between
where, then
saying
where do we
today or
have our meeting
tomorrow?
afterwards?
We could just go out in the hallway and just one person take notes, right?
No, cause you gotta have it posted as a public meeting, and our public meeting, so that's the thing, it depends upon where you're
Well, we
gonna,
moved our public meeting, right? We're moving our public meeting to their room.
well, don't we have a meeting posted for next week with the
Yeah.
finance?
Yeah,
committee?
but she, and I think
Oh,
you're right.
I don't think a week matters.
it's fine, I'm just saying next week is select board finance committee, I'm saying we should just get it out the door, but that's all right, whatever the board wants to do.
I get it.
I just think, cause we don't wanna, yeah, I think it's more professional to do it the other way, whereas we're not bringing it up when they're sitting in the room, we send it to their personal emails.
Oh, we'll definitely send it to the personal emails.
But we're having a conversation, they're both gonna be in the room
But
and,
it's not even a
But they can be
conversation, we're
watching
just gonna
us,
make a
they can be
request.
watching us tonight too, they can go home, you know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
on, they can watch it.
We're just making a request, it's not even gonna be a conversation. When it gets to that point, if we're still making that request next week, my assumption is it's not even a conversation, it's just I make a motion and then second and then
Okay.
there's no I'm guessing that's how it's gonna go, so.
Okay.
Okay. Alright, budget, anything else on that? Sorry, everyone good? Okay. So I met with, the finance committee chairs from the other towns last week. I am conveying what happened there,
Now, which towns?
the 5 towns of Washington.
Which, okay.
It
is
was,
that an open public meeting?
it was not.
I think there's a lot of this happening this year, and I know as a taxpayer, not as a finance committee member, but as a taxpayer, it's upsetting for me that there are off the book, not public meetings for the school, for the finance committee and all of that. It's always been a posted meeting, always. Even when we used to have the conversations with Paxton, it was a posted meeting,
Yeah, but it's not,
Want that one.
V2.
This one,
Yep.
the one that came out, we got on the first.
I just know that it was.
April Fools?
It was the day, yeah, it was adopted on the 31st, yeah.
But that final budget before it was supposed to be what our recommendation is for that final budget. I understand they've been doing it, but we've been agreeing to it also the last 2 or 3 years. That's how it comes out,
The last
3 or 4 years, whatever.
The last 3 or 4 years, Tommy, we've done it,
No,
not the select board.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying, so the budget before, the the budget should come to us, and then we should make whatever that should be the budget, goes to the town meeting, that's what it's
That's,
in,
and,
it's in,
Yeah,
the-
and
this
this
is
is
it.
the budget that they've given us.
no, I understand.
So,
Which we haven't discussed at all.
right,
We haven't.
Well, we've discussed the budget, just not in the
We've
final.
been around it, but we've never
No,
agreed
but
on
this
it.
is, there's a number of things on here that have changed.
And that's not even the one.
This is the latest one that he just gave me, last, I don't know,
The one that got emailed to us on the first.
yeah,
That's version 2. The orange.
it's supposed to be. It doesn't say that on here, but that's what I was
That's the
told.
thing, none of them
None of
actually,
them have
none of them
headers,
actually have
there's
a
nothing.
version on it, it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
in the emails.
mm-hmm,
Okay, so before we go, for any feedback on a amended change to the school budget?
Yeah, whatever we decide should be a reduced number, we should do it.
Any other feedback? Anyone think it's a good idea? Anyone think it's a bad idea?
Oh, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think, because I think all 5 towns need to
So,
push back
I
together.
think that it would be good if we had a motion, which I will make the motion. I don't know how I wanna word this yet, so I'm gonna talk for a minute, but I think it would be good to have a motion on our, on the table for us that shows that this is the direction we wanna go. And then I would hope that the select board would see that and make some sort of change, I guess, is that,
So are we
does that
gonna
make
be
sense?
strong enough to, at the annual town meeting, to stand up against the selectmen if they don't wanna make the change?
Well, we can make the motion if they don't, if they don't, but that doesn't matter. 'cause
But we
it's
don't
at-
have to recommend it.
Right.
We can,
Well, we can make, so we as in I could stand up at town meeting and make the amendment to the amount, and the select board can do nothing, right? It's.
we don't have to
it's my
recommend it as a
amendment.
finance
well,
committee.
to me, that's what I think we do both. We
Yeah.
say unfavorable action on the education piece,
If it's high, the way they want it here,
right,
right?
with the way it is, and then, and here's,
Here's what we want.
yeah, this is what we think would be in the fiscally responsible manner.
Yeah.
So that way people can see it. Now, there's no guarantee, you put that through, there's no guarantee that the school will come back with that.
Have we floated this by the selectmen yet?
I have attempted to contact a member of the select board to ask them their opinion, and I have not received any. But yeah, I don't actually care, cause I bring it to my finance board, so it's, to me, that didn't really matter, it was,
No,
I
well,
want.
common courtesy.
Yeah,
that's it.
I attempted that, so in fairness, I did attempt that.
Yep.
And you did the right thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, how do I wanna word this? I make the motion that the that the finance board, recommend a reduced school
Wachusett Regional School
funding.
District. No.
funding amount
Discretionary.
of,
Discretion.
Discretionary funding.
yeah, I gotta get the
Wachusett
exact
Regional.
amount from
What you
That
said,
affects
regional
us.
school district
the discretionary amount of $1.6 million total,
Rutland share
impacting.
being,
But that's
Yeah,
a
well,
name-
then share
they
it.
have a name for that.
Don't even put the total, put what it affects Rutland.
I just don't know the
Rutland.
exact amount that affects.
That
Rutland.
it doesn't make a difference, we're going, you don't have to make the motion for the complete amount, because
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
all we have to say is
So
that we're gonna.
capping discretionary, the total discretionary, at 5%, and how that works out to be Rutland's share
Exactly.
is, whatever that amount is.
Right. Just
Um,
make sure that you have 2 copies of that, one that you
Yeah,
speak
I
off
have
of,
some wording.
and one that you
Yeah.
give to Anita.
Yeah.
Because
So-
they cannot take the vote until you give them to her, because that's new bylaw.
So FinCom you're making a motion that the FinCom recommends a reduced Wachusett Regional School District discretionary funding cap at 5%, and Rutland's share is X.
Put in, an increase of discretionary funding cap of 5%. Cause it's an increase over fiscal year 25 of 7% right now. And the idea is to cap that at 5.
So we're not looking to cut, we're looking to cap.
I mean, it'll
In
cut.
essence. Well, no, I understand that.
Okay,
but.
Oh, yes, I'm not looking to decrease their
Right.
budget from prior year.
Right.
We're looking for a reduced increase. Which is crazy to think that
The
we're,
2026 budget.
2026, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, 2025.
Sorry, you voted in, you can't make that change.
Yeah, it would be great if we could.
Yeah, it would be
Take it right back.
wonderful.
All
so
right,
that's a motion.
I'd be approved of having a town meeting.
So FinCom recommends a reduce Wachusett Regional School District increase over the fiscal year 2026 discretionary funding budget cap at 5%.
Increase from the FY 2025
From FY 20 to 20.
for the fiscal year budget 2026.
to be capped at 5%.
Yeah. And then the rest of that wording, I don't know how, I mean,
I hate to do it to you, but when you're done deciphering all the things we just changed, could you read it one more time?
So
And I appreciate
making a
what you
motion.
did.
yes, agreed.
The Finance Committee recommends a reduced Wachusett Regional School District increase from fiscal year 2025 for fiscal year 2026. Wait a minute.
No, you had it, you said discretionary before that, and you were correct, I believe.
Increase discretionary fiscal year 2025 for fiscal
Yeah.
from fiscal year 2026 budget to be capped at 5% of and Rutland share is X.
I would just get rid of the Rutland share as X,
Capped at
because
5%.
we're capped at 5%, because that's all we're agreeing to it tonight.
Yeah, and then we can figure out the exact number.
Yes, we can figure out, yes.
Exactly,
And
because that's all we're agreeing to tonight, because we don't have the numbers, so.
yeah, in essence, it's about $350,000 to
Exactly.
Rutland share, just so
About.
everyone understands what that is. And the total dollars is 1.6 million, which on a budget of 129 million is
Not much.
reasonable
Mhm.
for what we're all experiencing.
Right.
And sorry, let's get a second if there is a second before
Second.
we discuss further. Because I do want to just make one more thing. Again, I've said that I support the school and I do, but where we are this year, this is not the year to add numerous new positions. This is the year where we all need to sit back and wait and do what we need to get support for an override in
This is a
the
very,
future years.
very small
Concession.
amount for them,
Concession.
concession for them,
Yep.
which in the reality makes a fairly substantial change for the town of Rutland. And I think that we're going in the right direction.
I also think that if the school were to agree to this, it would show a lot to the towns that they're on our team in what needs to happen going forward. I think that it would be a small cut to them, and it would have a better chance at looking at an override in future years for all the towns, not just Rutland, but Rutland especially.
You may find that they will concede this if there's a feeling within the 5 towns that this is gonna go, they
Yeah.
may concede this. They've done it before when we've
Well, I
asked.
think if they found,
But
if they realize
yeah.
that there's going to be 2 towns, that they'll concede it.
But you are aware that all that means is their budget is failed,
Correct.
and they go back and they adjust
So
it, they don't have to adjust it by
Correct.
what you, okay.
They
just wanna make sure.
resubmit a new budget.
Mhm.
But then we have to approve that.
I agree, we do.
Which is why I'm hoping that everyone sticks to the 5%, because if it does, it gives the school, like, this is what all the
This
towns
is
want,
what-
and hopefully they stick to that, and it'll
Right,
be easy.
that would be
Makes it
wonderful, I
Yeah.
agree with you, but I just know
Yeah.
that that's,
It just fails the.
It may
school
not be the last step.
right,
Correct.
exactly.
I'm good with that.
Okay. I think I've said my piece. I think I hope it's heard and understood that this is not the time.
I think that if the finance committees from all 5 towns can agree on this, and at least bring it forward, and depending on what they all wanna do, I think it's a major step. Because we've been in that pinch before, and we asked for help, and we couldn't get the help. And then other towns have been in the pinch before. We're doing it out front, and we're doing it early, so that maybe we can all bring it home. And that money that they have for a budget, I think it's enough that, you know.
I mean, it's gonna hurt them, it's not,
It's,
you know.
it is, but it isn't, they
Yeah.
can
But
use
they
it.
have free cash,
Yeah.
just like we do.
And that's why I think that even though the 1.6 was kind of like it wasn't a dartboard, but it was almost a dartboard. The actual thought process afterwards, it makes a lot of sense as far as $800,000 split that brings their E&D up to 1.3 million, which is almost exactly half of their E&D. If they were to use half of, if they were to take half of that cut into
Yeah,
E&D.
they can, and they have a lot of places to lose 800
Oh,
or,
yeah.
or wash
Without a doubt.
$800,000.
Without a doubt.
Well, they have a bunch of
Yeah.
new positions. All the other towns, Sterling has 2 new positions, but they're funded through something else. We have no new positions at this point. I think we got rid of the new positions. I'm pretty sure we did. If we did it, then shit, I need to pay attention more.
We're fine.
But I think it's reasonable.
You should bring it to a vote.
Any other discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as horribly said and hopefully corrected, and we'll figure
Will
it
be
out.
timed out appropriately.
That's right.
Yeah.
You might get an email from me with,
That's
could you
fine.
prove this?
Does it look like you
Is
got
that what you meant?
Let's make it up as it goes, so, yes. All those in favor of the motion on the table?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. The last piece of business, at least brought to us was, Darren brought up, was from the planning board. Darren, you've seen the letter, it is, basically asking us to, and I will forward it, I was going to bring it up on Zoom, was my thought process. So I'll forward the letter to the finance committee.
I thought everybody got it.
No, I didn't get, it's not in my email. But no one spells my name right, so.
Yeah, but, okay.
And my intention was to bring up the backup for what we just talked
Did you get
about
it,
on
Karen?
Zoom and this letter on Zoom, so here we are. That's why I had the little trusty
I
laptop.
believe it went to the chair and the vice chair. When it's just you two, that's usually when those meetings, things, they go to the chair and the vice chair.
Okay, it's fine, I mean, I'll forward it,
If I get it here, can you get it to the group?
you won't be able to get
Sure,
it unless,
you get it to
well,
me.
yeah.
Or I'll slide this over to you? and
Yeah,
you
sure.
can work your magic.
If you can get on the internet, unless you have
Yeah, I'm good.
a data plan, okay. The gist of the email is that the planning board strongly urges us to fund the the director of the planning board, director of planning,
Plan.
Town
town
planner.
planner, whatever his
Town
title is,
planner.
jeez, town planner.
Better day, everybody.
It's been a week actually. This is my close week, so I work all weekend and then like 14, 16-hour days, Tuesday and Monday, so. That we fund that position through fully and not through what is currently on the table, which
If it's
is,
okay with you, I'll read everybody what it says.
that'd be great.
At our meeting held on March 25th, 2025, the planning board discussed the municipal budget for fiscal year 2026. More specifically, the proposed budgets that depict a reduction in the town planner's salary of $24,902. The planning board does not support such a reduction and believes that this amount shall be expended from free cash because the following are the various services the town planner provides to the planning board and to the town. Plays a vital role in the daily functions of the planning board by serving as the initial point of contact for potential applicants, abutters to projects before the planning board and residents in general. He reviews and processes applications for completeness prior to the submission to the town clerk and the planning board to expedite the review and permitting process. He also ensures the planning board's procedures and regulations are enforced and posts agendas and public hearing notices pursuant to the regulations contained in Mass General Law. Prepares meeting agendas for the planning board and the planning board bylaw subcommittee as well as meeting packets. Has implemented and continues to implement policies and procedures that help the planning board operate more efficiently in a manner that protects the board, staff, residents, and the town as a whole. Possesses expertise and experience in the field as well as contacts within the profession that allow him to conduct research when presenting policy suggestions and regulation amendments. Stays informed on recent legislation that impacts local use, land use, and may necessitate amendments to the zoning board, and works with town council and the planning board to update the zoning bylaws. I'm gonna shorten this because I'm tired of reading this. Has begun the process of making zoning bylaws easier to interpret by adding use regulation and dimensional regulation tables. Writes all decisions for the planning board, contacts potential businesses to gauge their level of interest in locating in Rutland in order to help promote economic development. Has begun the process of potential rezoning along Route 68 by conducting a survey. Prepared the town's first road acceptance policy in order to ensure that roadway accepted by the town have been constructed properly. Successfully applied for a grant on behalf of the EDC, the Economic Development Commission, through the CMRPC, for the preparation of a digital story map and economic development brochure for the town. Says lastly, the town planner continues to play a vital role in moving the town of Rutland forward and is part of the continuing professionalizing of town government operations. Therefore, the planning board requests that the select board reconsider a potential reduction in the town planner's salary and make the position whole, especially considering the limited budget of the planning and community development department.
That being said, do they have money in their revolving fund, slush fund, however we wanna call it, to fully fund his position? Does anybody know?
No clue, but I would think that they must, because that was the intention of why it was done,
done
so I
that
would
way.
hope that Austin had done that knowing that there was enough money in there. But that is a good point, I mean, we should at least ensure that the money is in there to cover that.
But my concern would be, you do it this year, what's gonna happen next year?
Yeah, but that's the same with everything next
Yeah.
year. What are you gonna do next year?
But the other thing that comes into play too is we also have to be conscientious of the fact that there are other positions that were made whole, that we're going to use revolving funds to pay for, that were made whole using general funds.
I think
So
that,
it's all that vicious circle.
I think that there's no doubt in my mind, at least is, again, my opinion, that the town planner is an extremely needed position and important position in this,
One of the most important, I would think.
Yeah. especially where we are as a town.
He's up here all the time, he can,
Yeah,
did you send it?
I did.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Karen, thank you for reading that too.
I just
had no
figured by the
problem.
time everyone gets it, you never know, so
By
that's
the
the
time
only
I
reason.
finish talking too, cause I'm,
Yeah, well, that's the only reason why I was like, I think we should just read it, cause.
yeah, no, I appreciate it. So I think the sentiment from the board is understood. I think it's, obviously it's the select board's decision, right? Cause we're not the ones making the budget, but we can certainly make a recommendation to select board to fund that through, general funds instead of the revolving fund.
Curious where they're gonna cut.
You don't have to cut, you can also take it from free cash.
Oh, that's true.
Are we using all of our free cash at this point? No, we're not, okay.
No.
So, what Karen said, that we are making everyone else whole, except, the town administrator is still not whole, right?
Town administrator is not
everybody- I don't think everybody, if this is the budget here, everybody's not whole.
They're not getting raises, but they're whole as is,
No one's taking pay cuts, right?
right.
They're only,
But they're not getting increases either.
right, the
But
only,
that's, I mean, that's,
Are we talking about, we're talking about the budget now, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
the
I just,
finalized budget, yeah.
right, well, this one with these cut versions, I mean, I'm concerned with, and what I'm reading here is, it says no reduction clerical, I didn't have this paper before. Staff, highway, site monitors, or supplies, and TA salary cut increase from 95 to 105, streetlights are back,
part of it,
it says 22,000 from full cut.
Right.
Because it costs money to turn them off.
Plan hours still covered as a level funded, and then in here it says add, propose 130,000 from OPEB trust fund to offset retiree health insurance expenses for this year only.
Yeah.
And my concern with that was that we've been trying to put extra money, don't we have to get to a certain point, and we've been putting extra money in there if we could to get to that?
yeah, we're not gonna get to that anytime soon.
Right.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying,
We've been trying to do that.
if we take this,
We have to.
that chunk, kind of a chunk out of there, that's gonna put us way back.
Well, I guess that's true, but it's, you
Plus
know,
have insurance beneficiary.
but there's only 2 positions that are taking a cut out of the whole town. Austin and the town planner, that's it.
Okay, so further, what I wanted to say was, and he says that the remaining deficit will $711,601.
Can I borrow that budget for a
Board
second?
is considered using
That's
free
the
cash.
one.
Anyways, I think, looking at the forecast for the next 5 years, just what you said, I think there should be something else that's gonna have to get, I don't wanna say drastically cut, largely cut in order to keep, cause we're gonna be, well, you just said, we're gonna be talking about this again next year, or what do we
after
cut
that,
next
and
year?
year after
What do
that.
we cut next year? I think maybe some of the expansion or whatever, and I know if you cut a position, then you end up, I guess with the,
This version too. Look at it,
what's the word I'm looking for? What are the funds you pay when you lay somebody off?
Oh,
Unemployment.
Unemployment stuff, that's always a concern, but,
Who's not being laid off?
no, I'm not saying anybody's being laid, I'm not saying, I said maybe with that, was something they should look at, there's been new positions added in places that maybe shouldn't be there, then that gives us a chance to keep the people that have been there for these number of years on, and the things we gotta do, we're still in a big hole.
well, and we are in a big hole, and we're in a big hole because we don't have enough money. And I heard at the last select board meeting that there's a plan, I think there was a plan for economic growth in the town. And I haven't seen any of that, I don't know what that is, if there is anything there.
It's never gonna happen.
And I
But you
think
need a
that's
town
the,
planner to work on the economic
I mean,
growth.
I just don't see it, I don't
Well, we
see
got-
any other way to do it other than try and grow the base.
Exactly, but even if you did that right now, it wouldn't happen for 2 or 3 years.
Oh, I understand that,
And we've got at least a couple of committees in town that supposedly work on this, and what's happened? We've got new places, new businesses, but they're replacements for ones that were there, that's
Right.
all they are.
right.
Have we sold anything up at the Rutland Heights yet? Is anybody living there yet?
Not yet.
No?
So I guess the point that I was making was that it would be incredibly beneficial for the town to know that there is a plan in place that's going to address the structural problem. Because that's all we hear, is that there's a structural problem out there. This is not anybody's doing, it's a structural problem. Well, that structural problem needs to be addressed, and you're only gonna get that through growth. And you're not going to, I mean, you can't go ahead and, in my opinion, you can't go ahead and just add houses. That adds people, that increases demand, add children, that increases demand, and it costs you more. It's gotta be some kind of commercial activity.
Well, actually,
Should be, we've been saying that for
the
how
Heights-
many years now?
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Heights homes, they might add some services, but the services that they're adding are not expensive compared to a regular residential home.
Oh, I agree.
So, I mean, adding those sorts of communities is absolutely a increase in revenue
I
to the
thought we were
town.
gonna have a few of them sold by now, but apparently they're not, so.
Well, so,
I don't know if they're available yet, are they?
They're
Which one are
building
you
up
talking
there.
about?
Yeah.
Apartments.
Oh, that's an over 55 community.
Yeah, but is they sold any? Is
I don't
anybody
know if
occupied?
it's, I have no idea, I don't
I mean,
think
that's the
anybody's-
kind of growth technically that we need. I don't know that that helps and that would be the direction we want to go. I have no idea. But we're not gonna get a bunch of corporations in here. It's never gonna happen. We're not gonna get a whole bunch of
see,
stores
that's the
with truck
problem, that's
routes.
the problem I have. I think it's an attitudinal problem with the town. We're never gonna be able to get what we need to be able to be proficient in our spending. We gotta get by this thing about not being able to add commercial property. Really, I mean,
Well, the planner is trying to do that with rezoning, Route 68.
yeah, but that's
Now,
the-
you cut his hours down,
didn't
who's
mean
gonna
to do
do that? No, but who's gonna do it?
Yeah.
This is the whole thing.
Yeah.
This is,
Agreed.
we have volunteers who sit on the RDIC, that sit on the EDC. And I don't know about you guys, but I volunteer, I spend as much time as I can, but it's not as much as spending 40 hours a week being able to do it.
So anyway, I just wanted to state that.
Yeah,
It's just
you're not wrong, but I think there have been attempts at bringing certain types of businesses into this town, and they've failed left and right and center every time.
right,
For various reasons. None of them is the same. There's been times where the town has said no. There's been times where the person who ended up, said this isn't going to work. We've talked about grocery stores numerous times. I know I've heard that brought up so many times, and the trucking routes just don't make sense. And that makes perfect sense to me. If I think about trucking anything in here, I would never do. Which is why I just don't think that it's
yeah, but
It's
see, that's
realistic.
the problem that I see is there's trucks all over the town.
There's trucks
Every
everywhere,
day.
every day, all day long.
I mean, that should, see again, now, we end up with this,
you see trucks all day long.
oh,
They go
yeah.
down 56
You used
all
to
the
see
time.
it come by our house.
Yeah, because
There's a
I live on
Dunkin'
Campbell Street
Donuts,
and I go down
a
there
Big
all the time.
Y, Shaw's,
Yeah,
There's all kinds of.
bunch of cars, like
Yeah.
cars on
Main Street,
trailer
Maple
trucks.
Ave.
yeah, so the
Route
point
68.
is that I hear that all the time. Oh, geez, we can't do traffic, too much traffic. Well, okay, so there's some things that have to happen for this to work out. This is a debit and credit kind of thing, and it's gotta balance out. And if we don't end up, getting people to agree with the fact that we need to be able to have some balance here, that you wanna spend this money for schools, for fire department, for police, for the town roads. I walk down our street and it is a mess. It's terrible.
Walk down Darren's.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Down Street is too much worse.
Oh, his
than
is
Pepper
awful,
Street.
his is
mine's
awful.
No, I know, I've been down the street, but I'm just saying,
Same damn trash trucks.
well, yeah, it's a dress truck, but the point is that we have this
Some
resistance.
damn water and sewer.
And,
There's none down there.
I mean, that needs to be broken down. Now, this board is not gonna, this committee is not gonna do that. But it's gotta come from, maybe it's the planner, maybe it's the town administrator,
Yeah.
or the select board,
Or the two committees that are there working
or
on
the
this.
two committees that are there to work on it.
Well, to Karen's point, it's gotta come from the planner. The
Right.
planner is the one who's driving a lot of this, and I know that the 68 change has been a positive momentum thing, and I think that, to her point, reducing the salary and cutting the hours of the town planner is only gonna stop that.
You know,
Unless and because we've cut his hours, he can still claim unemployment.
Yeah, that's true.
and we talk about 68 and that's all well and good. We go half a mile past Tommy's house on the right, we got Rutland Heights property there. Other than Harbor Homes, we have done this to encourage anything there. Or if we have, it hasn't worked out, so I don't wanna say we haven't encouraged, but we got the property there, now we're going to 68. Handle one, get something going down there.
But the RDIC handles that property. So,
I get what you're saying, but I do think that a town planner at 40 hours a week has the ability to handle both of those things, right?
There you go, I agree with that.
Yeah. Now, if we,
How do we wanna fund them then? I agree with you.
No, I think we're finding them here. We're
Well,
finding them,
we're not funding it right now. We're
no,
not.
but the proposal is to take it out of
Free cash.
free cash.
Yeah.
So that would fund it, and that would get us through another year. But
So
again, we're
that's
looking
gonna
at,
be in addition to the second budget.
right.
Yeah. Well, I think we need to make a recommendation. I think the town planner is a absolutely important position. I think that there's no
Yeah, he
reason,
does a
especially
great
with the fact that everyone else has been cut, brought back to whole.
It's only fair.
That's only fair. And then I think the town administrator should be the same. That seems silly to me that.
Well, that question was brought up at the select board meeting, and he was very nice to explain that with his departure, there would be an interim, and then by the time they hired another full-time, that would be more than sufficient to suffice somebody for that year.
Assuming we don't pay more for the interim.
So,
That's a good
But,
point too.
but
We know
but
that's
he-
happened,
but
right?
he
I
walked
think it's a
through-
very bad precedence, I've said it many times.
I agree wholeheartedly.
He bargained for that in a contractual set back in.
So wait a second, I'm sorry, let me just clarify. So if he's saying that the reduction is because he's going to be leaving in less than the full year, that means that he's still going to be paid the regular bi-weekly or whatever they get paid, bi-weekly salary of his current salary?
With his departure, the interim, and then by the time we hire another full-time, that should suffice to get us through the fiscal year 2026.
So he will be paid his regular salary?
I don't know that, that's all he said, and that I'm
Okay,
stating.
we need to find that out then. That's,
Right.
that's not
Right.
on you, obviously, but.
I don't believe he's gonna get paid his salary, cause I believe he's leaving, so.
Now, who you?
No, but
You don't
for the
pay-
Who you
time
talking
he's
about?
here,
You're talking about the
The town administrator.
town administrator.
I'm
So
saying that,
He's negotiated
Well,
a
might agree
departure.
to that.
Yeah.
He
So
was
what
the
he's
only
saying
one
is,
not to
he's
get one.
willing to give up that amount of money.
I don't wanna put
Well,
words into his mouth,
the
and
way
that's
I'm
what.
But
understanding
that's
what
what I
Aaron
said.
is saying is that he's going to get paid his regular wage for 10 months out of the year, and then he's only gonna work 10 months out of the year. That's why there's a decrease from
Right.
125 he's supposed to
That,
get.
then he's been planning to leave for a long time, because he cut his salary.
No, he cut his
once.
salary before, that was
Yeah,
different,
and
that
that's,
was
and
different.
that's not,
So,
it's a nice way of explaining it away, Alex, but it's not right.
You mean, so this was his choice to leave, and
Well-
it just worked out.
no,
But anyway, that's what was stated at the select
Yes.
board meeting,
Yeah.
so I'm just repeating what was said at the select board meeting.
So, I think, maybe I'll make a motion. I make a motion that we bring the planner's salary whole, with using free cash, and we also ensure that the town administrator's salary is the negotiated salary for the remaining time he's here. Whether it's already in place or not, I just want that to be,
We recommend.
what did I say?
Ensure.
We
Yeah,
recommend to ensure that
To
every.
ensure that
right,
his
Yeah,
salary
you
is
gotta
whole.
just put recommend.
Okay, yeah.
So going back to what you had said a few minutes ago,
Mhm.
so you said, because I didn't compare each spot with the position, so the only one in here is the planner
And
and
the
who
town
else did
The
it?
town
Town
administrator.
I looked,
But everybody else is
everyone else is whole.
basically whole.
Yep.
Yes,
Whole.
Yeah, I went through
They
it.
didn't get their raises.
They didn't get raises,
No,
but
I
that's,
understand, I read that, but okay, I
Non-contracted
understand now
didn't
what you're
get
saying,
raises.
okay.
administrative, union people did get raises, steps, everything.
And
Because
so,
it's a negotiated.
so
I know, but I'm just letting you know.
for the planner, you're talking about $21,800.
Mm-hmm.
And there's,
I think it's.
wait a minute, what did I just?
It's 21.
So just so
I
we
don't
can
know, I
discuss
don't know
it.
what the totals are, cause I don't look at the change, cause
It's
he does
21
change, he
here,
doesn't
and it
change funny
says-
things.
There's other
21,800.
ones in, there's
But in the letter it says 24 something, so I don't know.
$185,948 left in free cash after
Yeah.
the other things are taken out.
so it'd basically be a total potential usage of about $45,000 in free cash. If Austin is, the town administrator position is fully funded, the way I'm thinking it might be, that might be a non-issue, so it may not matter, but it's basically a potential max use of 45,000 in free cash, in my mind. Rough numbers.
So say what your motion is again.
Wait, it's
to bring-
45,000 to do what now, say that again?
To make those two.
To make those two whole,
Oh,
roughly, I'm ballparking here.
I,
Using mental math.
So I'm gonna second your motion.
Okay. My motion was that the finance committee recommends that we use free cash to make the town planner whole, town planner salary whole, and that we recommend
TA salaries.
to ensure that the TA salary is the full contracted amount for the remainder of the time he's here.
full time, so in other words, the full amount that is being paid now until he
Until he
leaves.
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 Yeah,
So
so
it's contracted amount, whatever
if
that
he
is.
gets $2,000 every 2 weeks, whatever the amount, I
Right.
don't know when he gets paid, $2,000 every 2 weeks, now he should get $2,000 every 2 weeks in fiscal '26 as well.
Well, we should fully fund. Yes. We should fully fund to what the recommendation was in the beginning.
I would like to amend your motion to say that the town administrator should be fully funded to the 128.5 that it is now. Because that's what he would get if there were no cuts.
And that
We went back to,
Yes.
everyone who wasn't, went back to fiscal year 2025. So make it easy, go back to the 128.5.
Yeah.
Because then that way we don't have to do any
No,
monkey math, nothing. It's,
It's
here it
there.
is. It's 128.5 and it's like any other thing.
Yeah.
And yes, we're using a lot of,
But we already are, so.
we already are.
Right.
And ultimately, and I know we've said it, I don't think we've taken a vote on it, but the thing was, is we've been saying it, that we need to start, like the day after the town meeting, we need to start with education of what we're gonna do next year. And we
Right.
can't wait until
No,
the end of March to know where the budget is.
it almost has to start, the whole process has to start like in summer.
July,
In summer. You have to get up, I'm kinda disappointed that we didn't go through the public forums, the informational forums with the.
Yeah, I am too.
Because I
we
think
should
that was
still
an
shoot on that.
opportunity to be able to get out there and say,
Yeah.
this is what we're doing, and you're protected this year, no 2.5
I'll be
override.
ready, yeah.
But it's coming down the
that's the first
slot,
time I've
actually, you
ever
gotta
heard
be
you
prepared for it.
recommend use of free cash.
So those
That's-
two numbers together is $45,300.
I'm sorry, what was it?
The two numbers is 45,000.
I said 45, didn't I?
No, I know, it's
Oh, okay.
45,000.
You just told me how good I am at math.
No, I just,
So I
That is
will,
the two
I
together.
will withdraw my second for Karen's amendment.
I don't know that that's necessary, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's what you're
Steve
supposed to do.
withdraws.
See, after you've been around a while, you can-
Okay, but then there's amendments, so don't we have to second the
Now you
amendment?
have to second the amendment.
yeah, I'll second the amendment,
Oh, there we go. Good use of the second.
that's right.
Any further discussion on this? I know, we've talked about the use of free cash, we're all against it, but I think for the equitability of this, the importance of the position,
I would like Lynn to note in there for the first time in all my time, Karen recommended the use of free cash.
None of us wanna use it, but the fact is, we're already using so much,
Let-
we
Let's,
might as
Don't
well
even
just
say
go
it.
all the way in.
Listen to you,
You know what, we might as well go all in and
I
just,
wrote it down.
because when it comes right down to it, the fact is, we're not gonna keep good people.
yeah.
yeah,
Exactly,
We're
or we're
not
not
gonna
gonna
keep good
get
people,
new
or we're
ones.
not
Yeah.
gonna get new ones,
Agreed.
and we have enough problems,
Yep.
and it's so gosh darn late in the year, we kinda don't have a choice.
so we need to vote on the amendment,
Yeah. Well, I wanna leave, is
Just
there any
we
other
can-
discussion?
No.
Okay.
No, I agree.
could have been a
although-
friendly amendment too, just to put it in the regular motion. Aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay. I
Now,
think,
now do we have to vote on
The original motion, yeah.
the original motion?
Well, the
Aye.
way you're doing it, you do.
Yeah,
Aye.
aye,
oh, aye, thanks.
okay,
Any opposed?
everything's legal at this point.
I think.
Here, this is my first time, so bear with
I
me.
You're doing a
Yeah,
great
you done it.
job.
It's all right.
I don't think there's any way. I'm usually the guy that's recommending using free cash, she's yelling at me. And I'm not disagreeing with her
So
about
you,
this.
you asked Lynn to memorialize it, it has been.
Okay,
Well, I
Do you
think
want
we
it
need to do
bold?
what we need to
Yes,
do.
please, underline, bold, make it in script,
I
you
still
know.
wish we were doing an override. I still think we need, as a town, need it, but here we are, so.
Yeah, here we are,
I mean, we need it, but it wouldn't have passed with
right.
the
The
budget the way it is.
and I hope that everybody agrees with members on this committee that said we gotta start the education process as quickly
Oh, I
as
think-
possible.
The problem is that it has to be, the selectmen have to start it,
There you
because
go.
they're gonna
They're
have to be the ones,
responsible for it.
they're
Exactly
the
it.
ones that have to start this, because when it comes right down to it, they're the ones that are gonna make the decision as to where they're gonna put this override. That override decision has to be made,
Next week.
well, it
Well-
really does need to be made
Middle of
before,
May.
So you,
by the end of July, because we need to start hitting the town running.
you need to get the information out to the people so they know, You need to be able to get out, talk to the people, so you get a sense of what they're feeling.
Well, the longer time you have, the more questions you're gonna get, and the
Yeah.
more people are going to understand.
Like
They might
you
still
said, you
disagree
put
with
it
it,
before
but
the voters,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
either you vote for this and you get what's this,
Right.
or you don't vote for this and then it goes to this.
Right.
That's all.
So
I'm
it's
done.
in there, it's in front of them, and while they're out and about in town, when it's
Yeah.
nice weather in the summer, and they're at all the
They can see
things,
it,
they
and
can
they can see it all next winter, they can
Yeah.
see it, it's just a matter of what it's gonna be.
I mean, and that's,
Fourth of July, at the parade,
it's
they're gonna be talking
really,
about it.
it's really important to get the word out so
Yeah.
people can prepare for it, ask the questions, and maybe get more comfortable with it.
Yeah,
You know, if we're gonna do this, here's what we're gonna do with the money and
Yeah.
all that, you know.
having a full plan.
yeah,
Getting the
Yes.
school, I really wanna push the school to do a better strategic plan, because if we're gonna ask the townspeople to, and that's largely why I made that original suggestion about the 1.6, is because I can't talk to somebody and say in good faith, the school's gonna get you this because we're paying this much, it's not there.
yeah.
It just goes.
And it's sad because I've said it 1,000 times, I wanna support the schools, but I just can't in good conscience do it right now.
Do we have anything else?
If we wanna talk about the budget at all, I think we've talked about it a lot,
I'm good with it for now. Let's see what the selectmen say about our recommendation of free cash.
How are we gonna get that to them? Are you going to send that to them? Because they have a meeting on Monday.
Yes. Lynn, could you get me that wording by Friday, is that possible?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'll send them that wording once I wanna make sure I have the wording, I've already forgotten the wording.
That's all right.
Now, I just wanna make sure I'm sending the right thing, because if I
Right.
retype it myself and then it's different,
Cause the thing
it'll
is,
look really stupid for
cause
me.
you wanna make sure that it gets on to their agenda,
Yeah.
cause
And
this will change the budget.
honestly, I want the recommendation on their agenda for the school cut as well,
You want that too? You want me to send that to you too?
please, yeah. No? You
Yes.
disagree?
Why not, Kim?
They don't make a recommendation, they're gonna place it, cause they have to place it, cause otherwise, they have to place the warrant article.
Should we just let them know our
We
intention?
can just, but I would say that we bring that up at our joint meeting next week.
My thought process on
Okay.
sending that to them was to get their support for it, for that budget change in their meeting. That was my idea.
But they're not, you know, but it's going to, it's, if we're gonna do it the way you said we're gonna do it, we're gonna make an amendment, they don't
On the
always
floor.
know the amendment's on the floor anyway.
Yeah, but,
Cause there could be other amendments hitting the floor too.
but
We
I
don't
think
know.
if we want support on this, getting it out as much as possible isn't a bad thing. And hopefully that'll push to other towns, and the more in the open I think it is, the more the school sees it, the more they understand that, you know, we want them to play ball.
I
Here
would
we go
like,
with the chairs.
did, anybody that went to the informational meeting of the communication dispatch, could someone bring us up to speed what that's all about, and then that's all I got? A quick synopsis? Tommy, or?
They presented a plan to the member towns to form a district rather than a region, just a regional agreement. And then the plan is to expand, if the 5 current towns agree to become a district, and then they can go to 911 and further move the district along with other towns that have expressed a desire to join the district.
They don't wanna join the regional aspect.
That
Well,
is correct.
They could,
No,
they
but they
could
don't
join,
want to,
no, that's not, no.
no,
They could join the
regional
our
dispatch,
regional dispatch now as a, town under the memorandum of agreement between the towns, just
Right.
like they do now.
right,
The problem is that none of them wanna be controlled by Rutland.
right,
not control, but in other words, Rutland has to do everything,
Right.
okay?
The new
So-
ones don't wanna
right.
be part of a
So
regional, they wanna
there,
be part of
so
a
there are
district.
new towns apparently that would like to join,
Mm-hmm.
but 911 is saying to them, unless you're a regional, 911 is saying, well, we wanna fund you so you can become bigger and become more encompassing, but we're not gonna fund you as a municipal agreement thing, it has to be a district where everybody has their say in it.
Okay.
So, in order, you know, it's the carrot and the
Yeah.
string, so they got the money they're gonna put forward, but you gotta have this to do the next thing. And I guess
And
they've
you
got,
being the former fire chief think it's a good idea?
I think it's wonderful,
Okay, that's all.
I think it's wonderful, doing bigger, I mean, we're gonna save a lot of money. And not an agreement like the school has, this is a whole different
I
set.
told you the same thing, I said, I think right in the short term, we're gonna save a bucket load of money. But whenever you get into a district now, I'm gun shy, because that means they're gonna hire this, 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 and
And we have no control over it.
Right.
So,
Well, we do have a say on,
We have an equal
vote,
say.
we have an equal vote, so it is
Right.
different than the school, we have an equal vote.
Correct,
That is the good news.
So it's not weighted
It
based on
isn't weighted, no,
population.
that's the good news.
and,
But-
and the money that comes to 911, you're paying for it, I'm paying, because we pay it on our phone bills every month.
Right.
Mhm.
And that money doesn't go to the state, that money well, it goes to the state, but it goes to 911 directly and it stays in that pot. It can't be taken out for anything else, it has to be for communications,
Okay.
911 stuff.
Right.
So as of right now, the funding isn't gonna dry up because of cuts
Right,
to the
right.
budget.
Okay.
Cause it's constantly being paid.
That is.
So anyways,
Yep.
that's kind of the general. So the 5 towns right now have, they're saying, what they're saying is, they need to decide and vote on joining, or making it into a district. And so that's one agreement, and then after that, then they would vote, the 5 towns would then vote whether they wanna bring in XYZ or ABC or the other ones. And apparently there's 7 or 8 of those that would like to join in this,
what's the timeline?
it's probably a couple, 3 years, I mean, it's gonna take them some time. They gotta find a new location, because they're maxed out over here. So what he proposed was, or what they presented was a place in Auburn, I think, on Route 20.
18,000 square feet building in
Big building
Auburn.
that's existing, the 911 guy said they would prefer to find a building that's there and then not rehab it, but refurbish it, outfit it for what they're doing, rather than buy a building new. Well, he did say, and he did tell the group sitting there, which I thought was good, and I was gonna say something if he didn't finish it, but Rutland is a better spot because we're so high, we're a good location for
Radio control.
what radio towers we're seeing, or radio signals, you know, they spread out better. That's why I originally, when I was doing it, I had a proposal for a spot at Rutland Heights. I mean, it was just very preliminary, but that would have been the spot to propose a,
And why wouldn't we still do that?
They
Because
want-
they can't?
well, they wanna find something now that's built,
Okay.
so they can
The
put all
5
the stuff in.
towns have the choice of where they put sites
Right.
forward.
Okay.
This was
Or
just the
whoever belongs
first.
to the district will decide exactly where it's gonna go, so if they form a district and a couple other ones join right away, they're gonna vote on where they wanna put it. But once it's there, it's gonna be more or less permanent there, because they're gonna have more and more towns joining.
Okay.
So are the towns all border towns? I mean, do they all
No.
border each other?
No.
Okay, so
We
it's-
have, we have Warren, who they spoke up and said they are thrilled with the services that they get and the quality of services that they get, and they do not border us, so
Okay,
it was nice to hear that.
okay.
Absolutely.
That
I
was
thought
a really nice, because
yeah.
that was the thing, everybody else pretty much borders us, it was really nice to hear that Warren said that, they were very, very pleased.
Correct,
And they had a large contingent of people
they
there.
did. And
Okay.
you notice the other towns had finance committee people there
Mhm,
with the selectmen.
mhm. All of them,
Very good.
except for the town of Rutland.
Well, we had
We
time.
weren't asked.
Well,
I know, we weren't asked, we were members of the town,
Right.
just sitting in the back. We were not asked to come, every other had it.
Representation.
Every other town decided on their own to bring their finance committee.
Yeah.
Interesting.
cause it will affect your budget.
So, it sounds good then, right? I mean,
It's preliminarily, it sounds very good, yes.
Long timeline, though.
Well, I think they might try to move it along faster, but you never know.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna I mean,
I-
there's so much
I
stuff to
agree.
do to
I
keep
mean, if
bringing-
everything falls into place, it sounded like 18 months might work, but first you
Right.
gotta get all 5 towns to vote for it.
There's so many things that are
So
out of our
that first has
control.
to happen, right, yeah,
Yeah,
but-
gotcha.
you know.
Correct.
Okay.
anything else? I'm good, I'll make the motion to adjourn if
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 8:24. We are adjourned.